welcome back to a brand new Nava Rose video. We are DIYing something today. Freaking finally, I feel like I haven't DIYed anything on my channel since before I moved. So today's video is a very highly requested DIY tutorial that a lot of you guys have been DMing about. Corsets have been very popular recently, especially in this summer season. So a lot of you guys asked me to do a DIY tutorial on a corset, and I'm so happy. I personally love corsets, so this was definitely a no-brainer to do. It was just the fact that I was moving and I just didn't have time to do it. I was finally able to use the fabric that I featured in my Instagram story from months ago. I'm calling this one my Billie Eilish / Shigo inspired corset. I feel like summer is just getting started, to be honest. So if you're looking for a fun quarantine project, this is perfect for you guys, especially because it is perfect for the weather right now as well. Speaking of summer, I want to share with you guys one of my new favorite products, and that is Native Deodorant. I have been on the longest search trying to find a really good deodorant brand that's cruelty-free and has natural ingredients. So thank you to Native for sponsoring this video. All the other natural deodorants that I've used, it just made me feel so sticky and just so gross. Honestly, I felt like I smelled even worse afterwards because like my sweat and then their tacky scent. Oh, ugh. However, with Native, I feel it lasts so much longer. It dries very, very quickly. They're not sticky at all. Yesterday, I had a shoot with Attican, and it was my first ever like actual physical TikTok with another TikToker. We were shooting around downtown LA. You know, it's really hot, and I just didn't really want to be sticky throughout the shoot, especially because this is the first time I'm meeting that person. So I really put my full faith in Native. I still felt very dry. I felt good afterwards. They have a ton of different scents. Currently, I'm using the lavender and rose one. It has a nice floral lavender scent without it being too strong. I also picked up the cucumber mint. This is probably my favorite out of the bunch. It's very fruity and fresh. And then the last one is their most popular one, which is the coconut and vanilla. This one has a very sweet but subtle scent. They are vegan, and like I mentioned before, they are also cruelty-free, and I personally like to shop cruelty-free whenever I have the chance to. And they're aluminum and sulfate-free, and they have no parabens. Usually a Native pack costs $36. However, with my code, you guys could save 33% off, making it $24, and they have free shipping available to these countries here. Native link is in the description box. Okay, I think it's time to jump into this video. So the materials that I use for this video are some ribbon or bias tape, lace-up string, grommets, zip ties, shell and lining fabric. I used about half a yard for each, and the corset pattern. I made a pattern for y'all to print out and use, but feel free to adjust it if needed. Like if you guys want it to be strapless, you guys could totally cut off the straps. So the first thing that you're going to do is cut out your pattern, obviously, and then you're going to cut this out of your shell material. Before you cut out your shell fabric pieces, make sure you tape the A pieces together. I personally found it was a lot easier to cut my entire front piece as a whole. Also, keep in mind that the center front of your front piece has to be on a fold, so make sure you align that when you're cutting your fabric. And yes, I know, it pains me too to see me have to puncture my needles through computer paper. It makes me cringe every single time, but you know what? I just have to do it because it's a YouTube tutorial, but I think in the future I'm gonna try to get pattern paper. But anyways, this is what we're doing today. So the things that I do for YouTube. If y'all are using like a monogram print or a pattern print type of fabric like me, please be very mindful about the pattern of the fabric. I totally wasn't thinking, and I cut 3 of my pattern pieces upside down. So unfortunately, these pieces are wasted, but you know, luckily the pieces are pretty big, so I'm sure I could find a use for those scraps. I'll make a scrunchie or something. I don't know. Alright, so after you cut out your pieces correctly, this is what you should have so far. And the next thing that you're going to do is cut out the same exact pieces out of your lining fabric. And now these are all the pieces that you should have. 1 whole top in your lining and 1 whole top in your shell fabric. The next thing we're going to do is sew all the pieces together. So sew your princess seams and your side seams. Then for the straps, I placed the ends perpendicular to each other, and I sewed a diagonal seam because by doing this, instead of sewing a straight line right across the edges, this actually helps the seam be a lot less chunky when you invert it. Alright, so next take your 2 pieces, align them together to make sure that the right sides are kissing, and sew all along the side and the top edge. Also, do not forget to cut off the excess material from the strap seam. this is what your piece should look like, and now you can sew a straight stitch all across the edge. Just make sure you leave the top of the strap open because you're going to use that to invert your top. Before inverting your top, just make sure you cut some slits along the neckline and the armholes and or any curved edges. This actually allows the piece to lay flat once you invert it. The straps are pretty thin to try to invert by hand, so I'm actually using a spaghetti strap turner. However, if you guys don't have one of those, with Wendy actually showed a really good alternative by using a zip tie in her corset video, so I will link that in the description box for you guys to find. I personally love top stitching everything I do. I just feel like it looks a lot cleaner. However, doing this is totally optional. You don't have to do this. It is pretty time consuming, so you could just leave it as is. It's totally okay. Also, don't forget to measure the straps to your body and cut off any excess. Next, with a seam ripper, cut a small opening at the very top of the back piece, and this is actually going to be where you place your strap. So ideally, what's going to happen when you are top stitching is right before you get to that little opening, you're going to stuff the end of the strap into that hole so that you could top stitch it closed. And as you guys can see, I also pinned down the seams because I will add a top stitch to that as well. Now we have a fun part, kind of, so you're gonna just place where you want your zip ties to go. As you can see, I'm placing pins where I plan to make my zip tie channels, and you know, a normal human being would usually just use a ruler and a fabric pen to do this, but you know, I'm just really lazy and my marker and ruler are somewhere in a moving box, so this is where we are. To make the channels, all you do is sew 2 parallel seams using a straight stitch, and this is what your top should look like from the inside, and this is the front. Alright, so we need to prep our zip ties before adding them into the channels. Cut off the head and file it down until the tip is rounded so that it doesn't ruin your material. Now you can feed your zip ties through the channels. I found a 1/4 inch of a size where a channel fits my zip ties perfectly. However, I know zip ties come in different sizes, so just as long as it fits snugly and is neither too loose or too tight, you should be fine. Cut off the excess zip ties and then pull the ends out just a little bit so you can cut off about 1 centimeter off the end. Do the same thing that you did to the top by filing it down, rounding it out, throwing it back in a circle. Wait, I don't know why, that just sounded like a song, but okay. Anyways, continuing on. So after you file it down so that it's rounded, stuff it back into the channel. Usually I would use bias tape to finish off the ends for this, but unfortunately no one had lime green tape. Like, why? Lime green I feel is such a common color. But anyways, I ended up having to use ribbon, and I used the same method that with Wendy used. I just sewed the edge of the ribbon as close as I could to the edge of the corset, and I did this on the wrong side of the top. Then I flipped it around to the right side, folded the ribbon under and around the edge, and then I pinned that so that I could top stitch it in place afterwards. This is how it looks, and I know it's not the cutest, but that's because it was my first time trying this method. I really like this method though, so I will probably be using this in the future. Now you can add whatever closure you want. A lot of people add a zipper, but I'm going to add a lace-up closure since I feel like those could usually fit a wide range of sizes. Here I'm adding my grommets and marking where to place them. You know, I'm not really gonna go too in depth about this and like go step by step because I add grommets all the time, so I'm pretty sure you guys are sick of watching me add grommets. Plus there are a ton of basic how-to tutorials up on YouTube about grommets. Lastly, all I did was lace up my string through the grommets and I was done. Very, very happy with how it turned out. There are a few spots I feel like I could have done better with, but you know, overall, for making a corset for the first time in a very long time, I really love how it looks, and especially it looks so cool with my knockoff Louis Vuitton fabric.
Can't afford it. Champagne Perrier, finished friends on my face, looking like I'm from the deep. These no Cartiers, pockets deep, deep, deep.
I am so obsessed with this corset. I don't want this video to end because I love just showing you guys this corset. Be prepared on all my social media platforms. I'm going to be making so many corsets for myself, so definitely keep a lookout. I will also link my girl Wendy's tutorial down in my description box as well. She did a really good DIY corset video, and hers is definitely a lot more high-end than my basic one, so definitely check her out. She's so amazing. And I noticed she has this really cool DIY hashtag that all of her followers use, which is hashtag made with Wendy, and I realized I've been doing DIY tutorials for so long and you guys always send me all the cute things that you guys have made, but we don't even have a hashtag. What the heck? I think it would be really cute to have a hashtag together. That way we could all see what the Rosebud squad has made together. So I will make a community post and we could vote on there. If you guys make this corset, definitely tag me. I would love to see it. With that being said, if you guys want to connect with me, all my socials are at the Nava Rose, except for TikTok, which is at the.Nava Rose. Everyone, please stay safe and cool and healthy during this summer quarantine. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.
That money clip us now.